Do you want to make working in sales easier and less stressful? Then you need to understand the first rule of sales, and that's exactly what we're going to cover in this video. Hi, my name is Will and I make selling simple. Now, the first and most important rule of sales is that sales is just a game, and the sooner you can drill this into your head, the more productive, the more successful, and the happier you're going to be in your sales role. So first, let's define what an actual game is, then we can relate this to sales, the process, and winning deals. So any game has three main elements, right? They've got feedback loops, they've got variable outcomes, and there's a layer of control. Feedback loops are, for example, is Sonic the Hedgehog. You grab 100 rings and you get an extra life. Or in Super Mario Brothers, where you fall down a hole and then you're dead, or inherently you lose a life. All games also have variable outcomes, otherwise they'd be incredibly boring. You can go down one pathway or another. Some things to defeat an end-of-level boss will work and other things won't. And your job when you're playing the game is to find the correct variable to get to the outcome where you get the gold, the money, the princess, whatever you're trying to get in the game itself. And the third element of any game is that there's a controller, it has a level of control. Your hands input the direction that you are heading when you're playing FIFA, or your hands pick up the chess pieces and move them around the board to collect material and win the game of chess. Games that don't have any of these elements, well, they're boring, they're not fun to play, and they don't get played for very long. So all games that are worth playing have feedback loops, variable outcomes, and a layer of control. Now, sales has each one of these elements as well. Sales has feedback loops, variable outcomes, and a layer of control. That's what makes it a game. A feedback loop for a salesperson is getting rejected on a phone call. That's immediate feedback that something you tried on the call didn't quite go right, or it was the wrong person, wrong product, at the wrong time. Variable outcomes in sales could be that you try cold calling and you make some money, but you try cold emailing and you make a ton of money on the back of it. There's different ways to go about getting in front of your prospects. There's different ways about putting products in front of them and influence them to get a deal done. And of course, in sales, you've got a layer of control. And that is most typically your mouth and the things that come out of it. And it's important to understand here on the control side of things that you are in control in sales of your outputs. You are literally, there's no one stopping you doing more emails, more outputs, changing your process, going about things one way or another to improve your levels of success. And so because you have these three elements, 1, 2, 3, you are in a game of selling, whether you like it or not. So how do we win the frigging game? That's the most important bit, right? Because I'm here to make selling simple, to get more money in your pocket. So to have success in the game of sales, you need to understand two things. That there is a zero cost of failure, and all you've got to do is type and talk. And this right here, this is absolute magic. This is so crux to absolutely crushing it and making a ton of money and becoming wealthy in your B2B sales role. So first off, the zero cost of failure. You pick up the phone, you make the call, you either get a meeting booked, you don't get a meeting booked, it's fine. You've lost a little bit of time. There is essentially zero cost of failure. No prospect has ever driven over to a salesperson's house and murdered them because they didn't like the deal that they got out of the conversation that they had with them. I don't think so anyway. So if there is a true zero cost of failure in modern B2B sales, then you shouldn't fear rejection. It's just a game, so just go at it. And you've got to understand that the more input you put into it, typically, or more and better inputs, the more and better outputs you're going to have out of the other side. This should be exciting. When you treat your sales as a game, you can take all that pressure off your shoulders and just look for ways to win. Which leads us on to this idea of typing and talking. And this blew my mind when I first wrapped my head around it. Because in modern B2B sales, all you're doing is typing and talking to get a deal done. All you gotta do is type or talk these words in the right order, communicate it simply enough and effectively enough, and you can go buy a house. You can go retire early. You can buy that Porsche, Lamborghini, whatever it is, retire your parents, put your kids through private school, whatever you're aiming towards, you can do anything by just typing and talking. And unless you've got no fingers and you're unable to type, and even then you just talk into the computer, right? And use voice to speech to write your emails and your communications. There is nothing stopping you from winning other than yourself, especially when you start treating sales as a game rather than some big complex, scary process, which is how most salespeople think about it. They feel like they're not in control when they are in almost total control of the outcomes and the opportunities that are in the marketplace. They can go out there and grab them by just talking and typing alone. This is amazing, right? This gets me. I'm actually quite getting excited just sharing this on this video, even though it's half scripted and I knew it was going to come up. I get excited talking about this on our coaching calls over at salesman.com in the academy. When people are stressing about this, or they've not had this kind of response, or they're not getting the results that they want, and we just turn it on its head and say, hey, look, do you realize how incredible this is as an opportunity? You don't need to invent products. You don't need to run a team. You don't need to do any of that crap. There's no massive downside. There's essentially zero cost of failure for being a sales professional. All you got to do is type and talk, and you can generate enough wealth to do essentially, maybe you're not building a rocket company like Elon Musk, but other than that kind of shenanigan, you can essentially buy, have, do, and be, after a number of years, anything that you want by treating sales like a game. And to put both of these elements into practice and to lean into the fact that sales is a game, all you've got to do is have a series of frameworks so you know the rules of the game and how to play it. And then you just got to put in enough effort and play the game for long enough to win. It really is that simple. And let me go another layer deeper here. Sales isn't just any old game. Sales is what we call a zero-sum game, and this should get you excited as well. Because there are zero-sum games and then there are non-zero-sum games. A zero-sum game, which is what sales is, means that only one person wins. When I win, I take something from you. The prospect is going to buy one lot of sales training this year. They come to salesman.com and the academy and we train them. I take that revenue out of your pocket and stick it right in mine. They've lost revenue, you've gained revenue. They've lost a customer, you've gained a customer. And zero-sum games like sales are incredibly exciting because to win, you've only got to be that 1% better than the competition to take their money, to take their deals, to take their revenue every single time. Just 1% difference between you and them, and you will win every single time. You will take their lunch. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to work incredibly hard. You don't have to have some insane, incredible strategy. All you got to do is be 1% smarter, work 1% harder, and have 1% better strategy than them, and you will win essentially every single time. So what can you take away from the fact that sales is a game? Well, first off, you only have to be 1% better than the competition to win every single time. That is exciting. It means you don't need to read 500 sales training books. You don't need to do a million different sales training workshops. Join us at salesman.com or whoever. Join one effective sales training program, stick to it, implement it, and you're probably going to win most of the business in your market because most salespeople don't have the brains to go and do a little bit of training to improve their career prospects. It is as simple as that. Next, understand that better inputs leads to better outputs. The better process that you have, if you've got our frameworks to follow, if you put in just a little bit more effort, it's a little bit more polished, you as an individual are a bit more interesting to speak to. These are all the inputs that lead to much better outputs, and obviously the outputs for us are generating cash in our pockets. That's really what we care about being in sales as a career. We're not really here to put smiles on people's faces. We're here to solve problems and then get paid what we should get paid for being a consultant and solving those problems in the market. This leads on to the next point. You can create incredible wealth with simple inputs, which is insane, right? Typing and talking can essentially buy you whatever you want. It can help you retire early, which is my goal. This is why I'm running salesman.com. This is why I'm creating these videos right now. Typing, talking, and for me, a little bit of coaching on top of it is all you need once you become competent in it to get, be, have, do anything that you could possibly imagine in life. And don't forget, sales is a game, and so none of this is personal. Nobody's rejecting you as an individual when you cold call them. They don't even know who you are. They have no idea your good traits that you have, the inevitable bad traits that you have either. They're just rejecting the way that you've played the game. They're just rejecting the process that you've gone through to get them on the phone, to have that conversation. That can be improved over time. That is no issue whatsoever. So you should never take anything in sales personal. It's just a game. And the final thing here that I really want you to take away from this video is that the cost of playing is essentially zero. There is no excuse not to have success in a modern B2B sales role as long as you're selling somewhat of a decent product to somewhat of a market that you are able to get in front of. If you're selling a crappy product to billionaires where you've got no contacts and no way of communicating with them, then of course it's going to be very difficult. But most organizations, if they've been around for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they know that there is product market fit. They know how to get in front of those prospects. So all you've got to do is follow some of their internal product training, implement some external sales training, and the game of sales is yours to win. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not click the video that's on the screen right now and continue making selling simple.